Welcome to this podcast takes tokens. I'm Ryan, joined by my brother Derek. Before we get into the show today, we're glad you're here. We're going to talk about our icebreaker question that I gave you last week. Do you remember this? It was, when you were a kid, what was the epitome of cool to you?
Yes. Well, I'll let you go first since you asked the question.
Okay. Yeah. So when I was a kid, if you remember, I'm sure you remember, a lot of our audience remembers, back in the 80s, really the 80s, and then the early 90s.
Joe Cool?
I was going to say Joe Cool originally. Yes, Joe Cool was, he was very sly. Yeah. But gosh, targeting cigarette ads to kids is just what a thing. What a thing. What a time to be alive. No, I was going to say, so you remember the punk rock look with the mohawks and like the leather jackets and all that. And then later on, I think it's because I played a lot of Streets of Rage. Like the bad guys in there had the mohawks and like the leather jackets, and they had the chains and everything.
Spikes on the shoulders.
Tattoos. Oh my gosh. I thought that was cool. Like, I remember we had to draw a picture of ourselves in art when I was like in, I don't know, 4th grade or something, maybe 3rd grade. And we had to draw a picture of ourselves in art, what we normally do on Saturday or on the weekends. And I drew myself with a mohawk, piercings. One of my earring had a skull on it. I had a leather jacket. I had a tattoo that had a heart that said "Mom," and I had a chain in my hand. And I tried to convince the teacher with that drawing that this is what I look like on the weekends. I'm sure it didn't pass, but yeah,
she got a good laugh out of it. I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Her husband.
I'm sure. Yeah, that to me, like that look, for whatever reason, was just so cool, because it was like, oh man, these are the people that are on the fringes of society. Not that I thought that way when I was a kid, but like thinking back on it now, I'm like, I probably thought like these are the people that just like don't care about anything. Like they're just rad dudes, and they're they're just living their lives, like not having to answer to anybody. And then later on, I remember I think we've talked about this before. There was that the tunnel down the street from where I'm living at now that we used to go into. It was it's a sewer tunnel, and it's all bolted up now, but you used to be able to get into it. And I remember telling people I was down there, and I saw a bunch of guys with mohawks and chains that were down there. It was like their hideout gang. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was so cool. But yeah, then of course, Joe Cool was pretty cool too. Yeah, maybe he may have gotten me to smoke a few packs of Camels in my late teens.
He has that way on people.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I kind of went in like I went in from an older viewpoint. So I was thinking more like along the lines of being like a teenager in high school. And what seemed to be cool to me was, I think like the epitome of it was MTV Spring Break. Like you would see these kids just like living their best life, basically. And really they were like college kids in their 20s. Like it wasn't high school kids. I mean, at least not that I think.
I'm sure there was some out, but yeah.
There might have been a couple in there,
yeah.
But that was kind of like, or like the kid with all the video game systems and all the movies and CDs and just kind of had everything that you would want. The kid with the new bike. I mean, it was always superficial. It was always just kind of this like, what's really kind of meaningless now. But I'm still clearly trying to be that kid with my collection of games and movies and music. But in a way, we're all kind of that kid now, like thanks to subscription services, like subscribing to movies and music and stuff like that. Like you got it all at your fingertips. You're not left wanting for anything anymore.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of become like a meaningless ghost to chase, if you will. I don't know. But the epitome of cool really is it's not trying. It's truly not trying or for real. Trying not to be anything but like your authentic self, whatever that is that makes you happy, and being okay with that. And I kind of wish I knew that as a kid growing up. And stop chasing all this just passing meaningless stuff, these ghosts that ultimately, they fade.
Yeah.
And you can catch up to them later. Like, you don't need everything right now. And I felt like that was me, is just trying to keep up with everybody else. And the problem with that is, whenever you put everybody together, it's much bigger. It's a much bigger thing to chase down than if you're just trying to make yourself happy.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was kind of that spring breaker aesthetic. I don't know, aesthetic, or those people that you see like out there, like in the public, I guess, or getting the attention, if you will. And the kids that just seem to have everything. That always seemed to be like the epitome of cool.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
remember those kids. I remember them.
Yeah.
I remember them. Yeah, I remember that. There's this one kid that I used to go to school with that it wasn't like a spring break, so this was like in grade school or whatever. But he had all like every item from the Jurassic Park toy line.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, man, this kid, like, he's got everything. He's so cool. And then he had an amazing library of Super Nintendo games too. And it's just, you wanted to be him, but I don't know. We're kind of like
out there was some kid. There was some kid that was probably like hanging out with you who was like, man, Ryan's got everything. I want to be like him. He's got all the things.
He's got all the old Richie Rich comics.
Right? There's always a bigger fish.
Who knows? That's true. That's true. Let us know what your idea of cool was when you were growing up. We'd love to hear it. Leave it in the comments. If you're watching, you can throw it in the comments now. We'll be able to see it. And we're gonna run our intro. We'll be right back, and we're gonna get into our episode.
See you in a minute. Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters, because this podcast takes tokens.
I am a leaf on the wind. Watch me soar. That's right. We're continuing the Firefly conversation from last week. We are discussing the follow-up movie, Serenity. I had to give my boy Wash a shout out there. I mean, they done did him dirty. Done did him dirty. But we'll get into that here in just a little bit as we're talking about the show. So, Serenity was a sequel to the Firefly, I guess follow-up, I should say, to the Firefly series, short-lived series. Conclusion, there we go. That aired on Fox, and Fox butchered, and now we can be mad at Fox forever about it. Released on September 30th, 2005, budget of $39 million. Grossed, want to guess?
I think it went to like 60, did it not?
No.
No?
This was a bomb. Man. This was an absolute bomb, unfortunately. Oh. Grossed worldwide $40.4 million. So it made $1.4 million.
That didn't even make that. That was gone in the budget, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. So, yep.
Wow.
So there's that. Yeah. Just, I really think I said it last week. If I didn't say it last week, I thought it last week, and I'm going to say it now. This franchise, I think, was too ahead of its time. Had it come out now, I think it'd just be a complete smash hit. I think.
Be a runaway. Be like a
Oh, yeah.
Stranger Things or something.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to wait
yeah,
like
absolutely.
2 years between seasons.
Yeah, 2 years, like 2 decades between seasons. Have you seen those memes where it's like they're showing like Stranger Things seasons 5 and the kids are like old, like they've used those aging AI things on them?
I can see that. I mean, I'm going to believe it.
Yeah, I
it's
know.
been too
I know.
long.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
yes, Serenity. Couple fun facts about it before we kind of get into the discussion.
All
So
right.
when they were in production, they had this thing ramped up. Okay, we're gonna be doing this movie. They had lost the original blueprints for the ship. You know this. Our audience may not know this. They got the blueprints from Nathan Fillion. He actually had taken photos of them when he was on the set of the show, and so he was able to provide them with the blueprints, and they were able to remake the set with that.
And his copious photos of the set itself.
Yes,
Like, yeah,
yes.
video and photos of the set. That was just so helpful.
That's just amazing.
Which, I mean, when you watch this movie, like, I was thinking about that when I'm watching it. I'm like, they rebuilt this set because it's not 100%. Like, there's definitely like things that are a little off.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost looks a little too clean compared to like the show. But
It does.
really, like, the whole thing, like the whole look of it, it's a movie and it looks like a movie compared. And I thought whenever I was watching Firefly, I had in my notes whenever we watched Firefly, I was like, this looks like it's shot like a movie. This has like a cinematic quality to its filmmaking. And then I watched the movie and I'm like, nope, this is a movie. That was a TV show. And there's clearly
there's a clear difference. The picture is it's a lot sharper. The CGI is just better.
It's so clean. It's so clean.
Yeah. And I wondered before I hit another couple facts real quick. I wondered. Sure. So one thing that I noticed that was different. So normally on the show they had that 4-wheeler, right? That they would take.
Yeah, the mule.
The mule. And then on this they had that hovercraft. Was that the same one that sheriff was using in the that episode where they were helping the people at the brothel?
No, I think it's it might be. I don't think it's the same one. No.
Okay.
I think it's different. Because I remember I was watching somebody else talk about it and they were like they were talking about the timeline and like with the comics and everything. And how that craft, the hovercraft, was specifically like only shown after in like I think in the last episode and then in the movie, and so they were using that as like a piece to place where certain events happened, whether or not they had this specific craft or not. And anyways, they mentioned how useful it would have been in that particular battle with the sheriff to have.
Sure. Yeah,
some sort of hovercraft. So that makes me think it's not the same one. But now that you say it like that, I could see them getting there. Like if it looked close enough, like taking off.
I have to go back and rewatch that episode. I don't really remember exactly how that looked, but
yeah,
it just suddenly occurred to me, and it hadn't occurred to me when I was watching it. But as we're getting into this and talking, I wondered if that was the same one or not. So
they do use it in like the subsequent comic series a lot more. Like
they do. Okay.
Been reading those recently and it's used a lot in the stuff that comes between the show and the movie and then the stuff that comes after the movie as well. Okay. So I think that replaced the mule at some point.
Yeah. I mean, if you got the budget, why not make something like that instead of the
right? It looks cool.
So, yeah, it does. So the safe word, like the phrase that Simon uses to kind of turn River off. I'm not going to even attempt to say it because it's Russian. But do you know what it's Russian for?
Stop. I don't know.
This is very ridiculous is the direct translation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I haven't heard that one yet.
And then the other thing, this was the very first Universal movie to be released on HD DVD.
Ah.
Which obviously didn't.
We all know how far that went.
Yeah. But I thought it was cool. When we were talking about Twister, last summer, that was like the first DVD, that movie that was on DVD that never released. I thought this was kind of cool that even though the HD DVD failed, I guess the Firefly series failed, so maybe they have something in common there. But I thought it was kind of cool that it was the first one that was released on there. But yeah,
that's pretty
so
cool.
this opening scene where Simon is getting River out. Like, we finally get to see how he got River. That was so much fun to watch. It was, I loved like that little thing that he flung up in the air. And just, and just like, knocked everybody down.
Them all out.
Yeah. And then
the first time I watched it, I thought it like lobbed off the top of their heads. And then, because I think whenever I was watching it, it was because it was in 2005. I was watching it on a TV that didn't have widescreen. So it was cutting off like part of the frame. And then I watched it for the first time on Blu-ray or DVD like a year or so later on like a true widescreen TV. And you could see the guys laying down and the tops of their heads were still attached. And I was like, oh, I always thought that like sliced it right off. You didn't kill him. And that makes sense. Like whenever I think about it now, like it's not in his character.
Yeah. It was fun to watch. It was very wild to see that thing like stuck in River's head. And then, when he got her out and they're like going up that
lift or whatever
elevator thing, that lift. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. And then it like stops and then you start seeing the villain, which what a villain this movie had.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't remember his name. I don't think it ever actually said. I think
he was the operative or something like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he was so good. Like he made you just want him dead. Like, he just did. I mean, I know like that's a lot of villains, but he was a punchable
villain for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't remember the actor's name,
first scene that he's in. I don't know. He was in.
He was in.
He played the lead character in 12 Years a Slave, and what else was he? Yeah,
Doctor Strange.
He's been in a lot of stuff now. Yeah.
I think the thing I saw him in. I was trying to remember. I saw him in something just before. Serenity here. I can't remember what. Oh, he was in Love Actually. That's what it was. He played like the best friend or whatever that in one that marries the girl. But yeah, I'd seen him in that right before this because I think they came out like the same year, within like close enough to each other, or maybe I just saw Love Actually for the first time right before I saw this. I can't remember, but they were close enough that I was like, oh, it's the same guy.
You watched? Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that scene. I mean, where he's in that room, and then the people that were like responsible for everything with River, like they're coming in, and he just wipes the floor with them. And, oh man, yeah, and that whole thing with that guy where like hits that nerve, of course, foreshadowing to the end of the movie. And he hits that nerve, and the guy just like falls on the sword.
Yeah,
that was just so cool to watch. Like this guy, you're like, wow. This guy is like a force to be reckoned with. Yes, absolutely. Like he's just cold and calculating. Like he has no emotion about it. He's just like, this is what I've been hired to do. I don't even know. He doesn't even know why he needs to get River. He's just like, they've told me this is, doesn't make any difference. This is what it is.
They said secrets is not my business. They don't concern me. All I'm concerned with is keeping them.
Yep. Great. That's pretty. Absolutely great.
Yeah, he was I think I don't know. I haven't seen anything on this for sure, but I'm wondering if early from the Objects in Space episode, is this character based on him? Are they maybe just like, because early was kind of, he was a bounty hunter, I believe. He wasn't part of the Alliance necessarily outright. Like this guy's an operative. He works for either the Alliance or Blue Sun or whatever it is. And Yeah, so I wonder if like they based this character off of that character, or this character was supposed to be like a version of that character. I can't remember. I do remember it's been a couple years since I've seen this, and for whatever reason, I had in my head that this movie they retold, like, not they retold, but they that they kind of rebooted the series a little bit, and they told the beginning again of like how everybody got on Serenity. But they didn't. And I'm watching and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they didn't. I guess I just kind of like remembered it that way because I watched it all like together the first time. And then every time I watched it after that for a few rounds, I watched all of it together. I watched all of Firefly and then I'd watch the movie. And I'd watch all of Firefly and then I'd watch the movie. And I hadn't watched them together recently. I hadn't seen the show in a number of years. And I hadn't seen Serenity probably in longer. But I did. Man, yeah, I enjoyed it. It's such a clean representation of it. I'm disappointed that it didn't go on. Yeah. Again, every time I watch it.
I really think that this is it shows what like Whedon's true vision for the show, right? Because he had such a bigger budget with this, and of course your story's condensed. It's not, you're not stretching the budget out over 14 episodes or something. But yeah, he was able to really tell a good story, I thought, and let it breathe a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. And then I think, so I watched this back not long after it came out, but I had no prior knowledge of Firefly. I'd never watched Firefly. I knew it was a thing, but I honestly, when I watched this movie, I didn't even know it was a follow-up to Firefly. Yeah, I had no idea. And I remember watching it and being like, oh, that was kind of fun. But watching it now and having all the prior knowledge of the other characters and what's happened and what they've been through together. Yeah. Just made this movie, it made it so much better. And even their back and forth, their banter and everything, you really feel that because you've been, it's so cheesy, but it's I'm part of the crew, I've been on the crew for this long. And you've really gotten to know these characters. And then when Mal takes River out on that heist, basically. And Simon's like, I don't want her to go or whatever. And, he's like, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm the captain, you're the crew or whatever. And then Simon tells River, he's like, what did he say? He's like, if something happens, you drop and run. And if they all die or something, it's fine. You just make sure you get back in one piece or whatever. And
and I was like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of her. If anything happens to her, I'll feel upset about it. I'll feel upset about it. Yeah. And I love that back and forth with him. I think there's some headbutting going on there, but at the same time, there's also just some tongue in cheek, he's not really going to let that happen to River. He's going to do whatever he can to keep her safe. And I don't know. And then I love when they're on that mission and they open up the that secret door, or whatever, the vault. And the guy's like, do you have your clearance code or whatever he says? And then Jane just fires down there, and he's just like, okay, come on down. Which again, is just classic Jane. That's what Jane would do. Yeah. He's not gonna, he's not. And then Mal's negotiating with him. We're gonna shoot you in the leg. Make it look real. And he's like, I don't know about the leg. Yeah, leg's a good shot. You want that? Yeah. But then the Reavers start coming, and you can see Mal turn. He's goes back into protector mode. And he's like, you get everybody in here, and you lock that door, and you don't open it because he knows what's coming, and he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He wants. Despite sure, they're robbing, but they're really not robbing those people. They're robbing from like the big corporations and the Alliance and all that, and using it to kind of get by. And they really don't want to hurt anybody, so they're like, get to cover, looking out for people, and that's I think that just shows Mal's character.
I think that's what's so endearing about him is that he's kind of a scoundrel in a sense, but
it's like Han Solo.
Exactly. Yeah, he is. He's very much a Han Solo. Like he's not out to just be
he's not stealing from everybody.
Yeah.
Just killing people.
He's got some sort of a moral code that he's following. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then that opening scene is also kind of the first time that we get a real look at the Reavers and like what they are. Because we saw them a little bit in the show, but I think it was only the one episode that they popped up in. But this one, man, they really like.
Oh, we didn't really get a good look at them in the show. Like they're just like, oh, and you got to see like what they had done essentially.
Yeah, then that one guy kind of started to turn himself into one, but nothing like these.
Yeah,
nothing like these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, these were vicious. I mean, they're just basically like zombies. They're just like, just wild men, and that are, it's nuts. And then of course, you see Mal, like he shoots that guy just to spare him from getting eaten. Although, I did agree with Zoe a little bit. Was it Zoe that he was talking to?
Yeah, and she's like, we could have brought him on.
We could have brought him on. Well, we would have had to drop the payload. So I'm like, oh, come on, Mal. Like, okay, there's a little bit too much.
Hey, to be fair,
on you when it comes to.
To be fair, he warned the guy. He told him to stay back and stay in the vault.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
He kept running.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That whole that chase scene there.
Oh yeah.
Again, it's like the production value of this, like that chase scene, and the Reavers are coming up on him and they're firing, and like Jane gets harpooned in the leg. And he's like, if they take me, you shoot me. So then like Mal starts shooting. Don't shoot me now.
It's just more of that. This fantastic writing, this fantastic dialogue throughout the series and the show. That like, oh man. You don't see it like this, and that often, I should say. Not that you don't ever see it, but that often. But yeah, like I just love the writing. I love the way they talk. I love like you said, the way they just interact with each other. It's so much fun. And
there's the like piggybacking off of that. There's like one of my favorite lines was when they're going into that, I guess, that bar or whatever, to talk with those two twin guys. And Kaylee says like, basically she's like, I need to get some soon because I haven't had anything, with that doesn't use batteries for a while. And Mal, like Mal,
good God,
he's like, I did not need to know that. Like he's almost like a father figure to her, and like when he says that, you're like, oh, I completely get that, especially after watching the series. Like he doesn't see her like that. Like she's like a child to him. It's just like
Jane, on the other hand, he could hear more.
Oh yeah, James.
I could stand to hear a little more.
Oh my gosh, he's so funny. What was that? There was that one line. I pulled it up here. He says, "I'll kill a man in a fair fight." Or if I think he's going to start a fair fight, or if he bothers me, or if there's a woman, or if I'm getting paid. Mostly if I'm getting paid. Like that's Jane. I've really grown to like Jane over the series, and then the movie, and the scene there towards the end where they're pretty much in like this no-win scenario, but he's like making sure that everybody, in spite of all his flaws, he's making sure that everybody is like ready and as safe as they can be, which I guess, is where where we had discussed last week, where I thought maybe his arc would go, was where he's just going to start, caring more about, other people than himself. But, I don't know. Yeah. You're gosh, this was a good cap. It's a shame they weren't able to do a few more. So I know Whedon had intentions of maybe doing more.
Yeah.
And I know that's the reason why they killed off Wash and then Shepard, was because Ron Glass and Alan Tudyk, like, they couldn't commit to sequels. Like later. But I was reading somewhere where Whedon had said if he was able to make sequels, and they were able to come back, he was going to try to find a way to write them back on the show that was the audience would, accept,
believable or whatever.
Yeah. But
That'd
of course,
be
Ron
interesting to
Glass has
see.
passed away, but we can maybe still see, if they did a reboot, we could still see Alan Tudyk somewhere. I don't know, even if it's
Or
flashbacks
maybe,
or something. Yeah,
he wasn't a shepherd his whole life. Maybe he fathered a child somewhere, so maybe it's a lot like him.
Yeah,
It could be.
Yeah,
Could be.
Yeah.
And then, like, with Wash, they have the daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She could be just like him. She could be that same wisecracking, like, fill that seat in some capacity. And I could totally see that.
I was thinking today, because we were discussing, I think yesterday, last week, how you said, like, maybe Disney's, like, maybe looking at trying to reboot the series or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at, like, if they follow, like, okay, let's say 20 years have passed, whatever, because 20 years have passed since Serenity, since the movie, you could have Wash and Zoe's child be, like, the main character, because she'd be 20 years old. She'd be able to, and then you could have the other crew show up, or,
I think you're ready for Boom Comics brand new verse. That's kind of where they're at with that.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's picking up like
these comics
20 years later. Yeah. They have them on, if you have Comixology, the subscription there, they're on there.
Oh, okay.
As part of that. So I started pulling them up there because I kind of have some holes in my collection, and I was like, well, I can get it for like $1.99, or I can do their month free trial and got caught up that way.
Yeah.
Worst case, I pay $5 a month or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty cheap.
Yeah. So I've been getting caught up there on my tablet, and it's like, some of them are like they have like the Firefly series, which is like a 26 episode run that I'm about halfway through. I don't think it's where the show would have gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it takes place between the show and the movie because all the characters are around. But it involves, there's some aliens, which I don't think would have been part of the main series.
No.
But they're like giant bugs that kind of like attack them at some point. And so I'm like, okay, maybe it's just like mutated bugs on like a planet that didn't terraform properly, perhaps. I can buy that as a stretch. But then they introduce cyborgs and robots, and it starts getting a little too sci-fi, but they wrap it up after like 26 episodes or 26 issues. And then they have the new Firefly and the new verse or something like that. And those are like picking up where, like years later, whenever it's been like 20 years since like the movie. And I've just started those today. I'm about halfway through the first run, and it's better for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all fun. Like, it's all
sure.
Like the Firefly series that I was reading, it was great for the first few episodes. But yeah, it's getting a little weird, but from what I read, it turns back around. So I'm holding out for that. But yeah, I wish they would have done more. And I was watching or reading an interview with Whedon, and he was talking about how this movie is actually, if they would have continued the series Firefly, the second season would have been them discovering Miranda, like learning about Miranda rather. And then it would have ended with them kind of at that point where they look out and they see all the Reavers between them and Miranda. And that would have been the end of season 2. And then season 3 would have pretty much so been, I think 3 and 4 would have pretty much so been the rest of that movie, just kind of drawn out a lot more detail and, filling out the verse, and then doing some like backstory stuff in here and some other things off to the side. But, this movie is basically like what he had planned for seasons 2, 3, and 4, I think. So we kind of get it. I mean, we get we get the big arc. We don't get all the little things, but we get the big arc. And then there was some comics that kind of came in, and I think he had a hand in, and they kind of fill in some of those like smaller like backstory things. Like we get, there's a comic that deals with Saffron's background, and there's one that deals with Wash's background, and one that deals with Jane's background. So you get some of that in there. Yeah. And, all of it together, you can kind of fill in some blanks.
I would have liked to have seen Saffron. That's Christina Hendricks' character, right? Yeah. I would have liked to have seen her in this in some capacity. I think that would have been fun to have her show up, doing something. But
I feel like it would have added too much. Like this movie, like it was pretty tight. Like it moved.
That's true.
I don't know where you could like put her in that wouldn't feel like you're forcing it. Because she would require like a whole. She puts a monkey wrench in everything. She would require a whole different trajectory for the film.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe. I guess maybe if they would have done, they could have done if they could have done another movie, maybe they could have had it focused around something that she was
getting them into or something. Yeah.
Some sort of
that would have been a good way to bring the characters back. You could have told a story from like between the show and the movie, and you could bring everybody back for that.
Yeah.
Kind of do not a prequel, not a sequel. What would it be called if it went between two movies? That's not a prequel or sequel. That's like a midquel.
Midquel. That's it. That's
a tweenquel.
Yeah, tween. Sounds like a Twilight movie.
Right. No,
watching this, if you can think back to the first time you watched it, what was your reaction seeing River like just flip and just start
in the club?
Yeah, the first time in the club, and just start beating the snot out of these guys. Because we hadn't really seen anything. Like, we knew there was something off about her, but they never really explored too much. They didn't have the time.
I want to say I too watched the movie the first time, or before I watched the series. I want to say, but it all happened like it was like I'm pretty sure I watched the movie, and then that weekend went out and got the series and watched it pretty concurrently. But yeah, I want to say that it was. Man, I don't remember. I watched it in 2005. That was 20 years ago. I can't remember what I was thinking whenever that happened.
Doesn't seem like that should be 20 years ago, but yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. I mean, the first time I watched it, obviously I didn't think anything because I'm just like, I have no context with this. But watching this again, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know. It was just so cool to just the choreography and everything. It was just so cool to watch. And I think one of the best shots in the movie is when Mal like pushes that fan aside just to, see what's going on. Yeah. And his reaction, and then the two guys that he's talking to, they're like, do you know this girl? And he's like, I really don't. They didn't know what was going on with her. And I don't know, just to see her do all that was to me, it was almost like watching Star Wars Attack of the Clones for the first time, and you see Yoda like finally pull out his lightsaber and you see him. Yeah. I kind of felt that way with this.
That was cool.
Yeah.
that made Phantom Menace worth it.
Yeah. But I kind of had that feeling watching this because, like I said, in the series, there's something going on with River. Like, you get a little glimpse into what is happening with her, but it's never like the onion's never really peeled back too much.
We do. We get like, because like in the beginning scene, they talk about how she's psychic and she's like a living weapon and all this other stuff. And so we hear about all these things, and then it pays it off throughout the film, like where she's in the other room and she's mouthing what they're saying, like she's reading their minds, or she's saying things that are in their minds. And then, she busts out this like action, whatever it is, and takes out this whole bar full of people, which she's not fighting. Like the summer gal isn't fighting. She's a trained dancer and she's actually dancing. But the way
is that right?
Yeah, like they choreographed it and they shot it so that it ends up looking like a fight scene, but it's really just she just learned a dance basically
That's
and
really
performed
cool.
a dance, and we ended up with a fight scene that looked really cool. Yeah.
Well, I had read, I didn't read that, but I had read that the cameraman was also a trained
Yeah.
dancer.
Yeah.
And so he's just like
Swooping
moving
in and
around
out.
in and out of
Yeah.
everything while they're, it made for a really, really good scene.
Mhm.
And yeah, I had a lot of fun watching that, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I think I'm most impressed by the quality of the CGI. Like
hmm
Serenity looks really good
Yeah.
in the movie, and especially for 2005. I mean, 2005 was that time where we had like the kind of weird CGI happening in a lot of places, like CGI characters that just looked really off.
Yeah.
And CGI sets that didn't quite look real, but this looks really good.
Looks good. Yeah.
Through and through.
It does.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all of it just looks really good. And yeah, like especially that. And yeah, like we talked about, like the quality of the filming looks so much better. It just looks really crisp. And like there's clarity to all the shots, and it's all like really sharp and well, like perfectly lit. Like, man, it's amazing what a budget can do for a film.
Oh, sure.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So the I will get on some negatives on it as much as I enjoy it. My critiques, I had two real critiques. One was I kind of felt like Inara and Shepard were just kind of pushed in there to put them, like, because we're like, oh wow, we gotta get the
the
cast
button
back.
on it.
Yeah. I didn't feel like Inara really had much to do with anything. I mean, she was there, and you know, she got Mal there to be face to face with our antagonist, you know, but she's such a good character. I wish that she would have had more
they
to
didn't
do.
progress that at all.
And then Shepard, I felt like it was just like it was really quick. Like he's there, and I get it. Like Mal comes to him for advice and everything, and I love that about the two characters, that they've gotten this relationship going where he trusts his counsel, his word, and everything. But like there was no real development of anything there. And then I hated, like, when he died, it was like I didn't feel like there was any real impact with that. Like I loved this character in the series. And then like he shows up. What's that?
Just him dying was very impactful. It was
well, I mean,
it was heartbreaking.
But I just didn't feel as much of it because I didn't feel like I got to see, like, I don't know, I didn't get to see him enough. I wish I could have seen him some more, I guess. I did.
Like there is about 30 more minutes of that.
Oh, there is.
Of them being on Haven that was shot apparently. And I don't know, maybe one day we'll get like a 4-hour director's cut of Serenity.
Yeah. Oh, I'd watch it. I'd totally watch it. Yeah. Get through all the bloopers in there. I don't even care. Like just one whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I liked how he, I don't want to say like he died a hero, because he really was a hero the whole time, but like he had a meaningful, you know what I mean? Like he didn't save everybody because everybody died. But
he brought a message.
Yes.
He brought a message from Al, find something to believe in. And you can see that right afterwards, Mal like flips a switch and he's like, I know exactly what I believe in, and we're going for it. And that's whenever this movie just really takes off, is he made that decision. And it was because of his discussions with Book there.
Yep.
Because of all that, like, I don't care what you believe in, just believe in something.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I wish we could have seen a little more of him. And I feel like I maybe, okay, I think his death would have been more impactful to me if we could have seen him like trying to save all these people
getting on the guns and shooting everything
getting on
down.
the gun, because like that had to have been really hard for him, because he had like made a vow not to kill anybody, like in the whole series. He's shooting them with water cannons. He's not doing anything, he's not trying to kill anybody, shooting people in the leg and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But having him like have to be like, okay, I have to break this code that I have put upon myself because I need to save these people. And, he ultimately, I guess, really, everybody dies, but he took everybody. He took the bad guys out. If you're going to come kill us, well, you're going to die too. Like, I don't know, but I loved when Mal had told him, like, he's like, oh, I guess that's not very Christian of me or something. And I can't remember. Mal says like, that's okay or whatever, however he says it. And he's like, well, coming from you, that really doesn't mean much. But he kind of got that, But again, it was like the thing with
and the whole time he's just dying, but they're cutting up together. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I was talking about with him and Simon in the beginning of the movie. Like it's just that relationship that the characters have made, like I'm gonna say something like that to you, and it's even if I'm dying or whatever. But yeah, so there was that, and in addition to that, I didn't like the way Wash went. I'm fine with him. Well, he was a great character. I'm not going to say I'm fine with him dying, but I wish that it would have been like more than just like out of nowhere, and there he is, and he's done.
But it's so like it has such an impact though. It's like whenever it's like, I mean, really, okay. I'm going to come at this from two different angles.
Okay.
It reminds me of the Avengers whenever Culver, what's his name? Coulson. Gets killed by Loki. Yeah. And they're like, okay, now we have something to avenge. That was out of nowhere. It was like you didn't expect that character to be killed off, but then he was, and you're like, oh man, that's a gut punch right there. And that's how it was with Wash. It was just like this gut punch. But that was something that I was thinking throughout this whole movie. As I'm watching it, I'm like, man, this reminds me of, maybe not in any direct way, but this feels like the Avengers. Like it feels like whenever he made the Avengers, he kind of used this as a bit of a blueprint in terms of like maybe the beats it takes, or some of the ways that its emotional triggers that it uses, if you will, or the way it just kind of like, I don't know, the way it progresses. But I'm watching it and I'm like, man, this really makes me feel like the first Avengers movie. Like I could watch the first Avengers movie right after this and it would feel like kind of the same movie almost. Yeah. In a weird way. I don't know if you see that too. But
I mean, I can now that you're saying it. It wasn't something that I saw when I was watching it. But yeah, I could see that. I guess, that does, they really do, the rest of the group really, almost has some like, all right, we're going to finish this, after, I mean, that was there, but then once Wash is gone and Book for that matter, it's just like, all right, we're not playing games anymore. We're going to finish this.
I mean, even Enora's got a crossbow for a weapon. I mean, you got your Hawkeye right there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Character development or anything, but they got a weird weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So there was those things, and then I'm on a fence about this. So part of me sees Mal's final confrontation with our villain.
Yeah.
And he doesn't kill him. Part of me sees like, okay, that's our Mal. He's not a killer, But then the other part of me is like, this guy is responsible ultimately clearly for Book's death, but then he is responsible for Wash's death, because if they could have just went to the planet and, did what they were going to do without having any resistance, they wouldn't have needed to pull the Reavers into this whole thing. And, Wash probably would still be alive. I don't know. Part of me feels like Mal did what his character is, would do, but then the other part is like, I don't know. He might be just mad enough just to kill this guy because he's killed two of his best friends, I don't know. Yeah. What do you think?
No, I feel like it services the character, and that's the way it should be. Like, I feel like if Mal kills him, we lose a little bit of Mal. And you can see throughout this movie, the operative loses himself. Like, you can see him cracking as this goes on and his conflict goes on with Mal. And you see that first big crack whenever Serenity comes through the ion cloud and he's like, all right, target on the chip. And then right behind him are all those Reavers. And he's just got that look on his face like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? And he's like, they're like, sure, which one should we fire on? And he's like, fire on all of them. Just fire anything.
Yeah,
fire now.
Fire,
yeah. And like you can see like panic setting in him in that instance, and that breaks that like that cold steely reserve that he had. And then again, whenever him and Mal are fighting, like he's fighting with more anger more than he is like with his like skills. He's fighting almost out of anger, whereas Mal is still just like being Mal, and he's more, the operative is kind of like he's got chinks in his armor now. He's broken down, and Mal's getting to him, and I think if Mal kills him, that does a disservice to the character of Mal, and we can't have that.
Like I said, I see both sides of that, and so I was just kind of on a fence about it. I'm like, I don't know which one I would have. I don't know. I mean, we could have just had. Well, honestly, what I thought was going to happen was I thought Zoe was going to come in and kill him, like.
Oh yeah, she may very well still do that.
Oh yeah.
Who knows what happens next?
yeah.
I'm sure he's on her list.
That whole scene, like after he died, like at first I was like, oh, that's not much of a reaction from Zoe after Wash died. She's just like baby, or whatever, and then they go. But then as I thought about it more, I'm like, no, this would be her because she's just gonna like. Close everything off, and she's going to get into her soldier mindset and just and just go with it. And
you can see though that it is getting to her whenever she's fighting the Reavers, and she just goes in for close quarters because she just wants blood, and then that's whenever she gets hurt. Because she kind of like the emotions take over, and you can see that. Yeah, she's like Wash, baby, wake up or whatever. And she's getting a little quivery. You can see she's starting to break just a little bit. And then Mal's like, come on, we got to go. Yeah. And she snaps out of it. And then, she goes right into like soldier mindset.
Yeah.
Let's do the job. And, but we don't really see much after that. So I don't think we don't see that breakdown, but we don't need to see the breakdown. We know how much she loved him. Yeah. That's there. But yeah, like, okay. So the quips or qualms that we may have with it.
Yeah.
I had one that I took down, that stood out to me. And it is, how did Honora time that flash bomb to go off on the operative and not on them? The whole time they're circling each other and they keep walking by, and I'm like, oh man, how does she know whenever it's going to go, when to have it go off?
Yeah. Is
it remote detonated, or like, is there like a trigger to it somehow? I don't understand, but like, it just works out perfectly. It's just one of those things where it's like, like the little like Rube Goldberg mechanisms that people use, and then they just happen to work out just perfectly because that's the only way it could have worked out or whatever. That one definitely, like, I was like, I don't know about that. Like, but that's more of like the whole, like, I feel like you were talking about, they just kind of rushed her into the movie.
They did. I hated that. I hated that about it because, I really enjoyed her in the series. And not that I didn't enjoy her here, but it was, I just didn't feel like there was a lot of character.
There wasn't much. Very hollow. Yeah. Might as well just had a picture of her up.
I mean, really, he could have just had Mal talking with her through like, the holocom or whatever. And that's all you really, I don't know. Basically, that's what we got with it, except they
didn't like, their relationship didn't progress really. Like they still kind of like ended off with like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go this way, and you're going to go that way, and
yeah,
nothing really nothing progressed there.
Give us like, they could have them mumbling, he's bumbling through it, and then he just kisses her or something, like have that payoff. Like, I don't know, like that's been building for a whole, 14 episodes plus the movie.
Right.
So
at the very least, it could have just ended with him being like, or their encounter could have ended with him just being like, so do you want to get dinner sometime? And she'd be like, dinner or dinner? And he can be like, well, yeah, dinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just leave it ambiguous. Then we don't need we don't need closure on it. We just need to know that like they could, like they're still trying, like there's still something there or whatever. And
which, I mean, I guess that you do get that. I mean, you could feel that watching it, like the way that they were just kind of, dancing around the subject, and
but I feel like that's also probably
stay
one of those
around for a
things
little bit longer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's probably one of those things that he was leaving on the table for, like, if they do a future installment type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, we got to have that. Will they? Won't they? Or this? There's just too much. Oh, excuse me. Too much of it to include in this movie in particular.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they couldn't explore it the way they wanted to, so they're holding off on it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe there could have been a Serenity rom-com that, was the two of them just getting up to hijinks.
Yeah. You could have had the on-again, off-again relationship of Kaylee and Simon, which that line that she, when they're talking,
the hell with this, I'm going to live.
Yeah, I'm going to live. So good.
That was great.
So good. I love that. I love her character. She's just, it's great. But I really thought that Simon was going to die there towards the end. Like, you see him get shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, crap,
and you already lost Wash. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Like, I don't remember this.
Came close.
But then we get the awesome scene of River just killing all those Reavers, like, by herself, which, again, it was pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun stuff. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
And then, then they open up the doors and she's standing there with, like, in that pose with the two weapons at her side dripping with blood.
Yeah.
And the light coming in from behind her. Just, like, fantastic shot there.
Yeah. Like action star sort of.
Yeah. And they're like, sir, do we need to take the shot? And you can see her, like, gripping down tighter, like she's ready to take them out too.
Yeah.
I wonder what would happen if he would have been like, yes, take the shot. Like, would she have been able to take him out before they hurt anybody?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. Right. I mean, look at it. Yeah, absolutely. You have to believe
that's what she does, right?
Yeah.
She's the Slayer.
Yeah, that's right. She is. Yeah.
So any last quotes that stand out to you that you want to just like throw out? Like, maybe a favorite one. What's a favorite one?
Well, I mean, my favorite one was the hell with this, I'm gonna live. Like, it's great.
Each character did have one that really, like, encapsulated what the character was or who they were in a pretty good way. That was a pretty good one.
Although I will say real quick before you give your answer on that, because I do want to hear it. An awkward scene was right at the end when Kaylee and Simon are, they're kissing and they kind of fall down to the floor, and then River's head just appears. It's like, what is
I didn't see that before. I saw it this time. And I was like, oh yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah,
but I guess like that's like her character is like curious or whatever.
She's just inquisitive about everything. Yeah.
I'm sure she would have made her presence known.
Oh yeah. All right, what was your favorite line?
I like whenever Mal is, I think he's fighting the operative, and they're talking about sin or something like that, and Mal says, says something like, you like, I forget what he says. Yeah, I blanked on it now. Man, I can't remember. They were talking about sin, and then Mal says, well, I'm a fan of all seven, but right now I think, I'm thinking wrath. And then he just like starts wailing on the guy. Yeah. Yeah. I forget what the line was that led into that, but
he was like, do you know what your sin is? Or something like that. Yeah. And then he starts in on. Gosh, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was a cool payoff when they call back to when the operative had, in the beginning of the movie had like hit that guy's nerve or whatever, and you see Mal and he like holds it and you're like, yeah, and you're like, oh crap, how's he gonna get out of this?
Yeah.
And then he just hits him in the throat and he's like, oh yeah, that nerve got severed back in the war.
And then just takes him down so quick right after that too. Yeah.
But I love that.
Man, he took a beating.
Oh, he did. Oh my gosh. His when he comes out there, his eyes
and
like
retinas burst.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I love that. Like the operative, for as tactile as he is, he didn't know that about Mal. Like you think that he
would have dove into his medical files and stuff, right?
Yeah. But I like that he, that was like, I don't know, it's just kind of cool that he didn't realize, this isn't going to do anything to him.
Maybe it didn't go in the medical records. Maybe, because it's like if they're doing triage on the battlefield, they're not taking records. They're just kind of like patching people up and moving them on as fast as they can. So maybe that's probably what it was. I bet that's what it was. Whenever he's pulling up the files on the Cortex or whatever, it just shows Mal and it's like Malcolm Reynolds, service record. And it says like Serenity Valley. And then that was it. And it was like, there had to have been more to it. But it was just like, it was definitely like bullet points that he was like flying through pretty quick. So I can see like he probably didn't dive into the details.
So do you have a favorite scene in this movie?
All of them? Can I say all of them?
I know. No, that's me. Like I only ask because it's something we typically ask. But
I think a favorite moment, if I'm going to pick one out, it would be whenever they are going back into space and you can hear like the roar of like, the engines and everything and like the whole ship is shaking and then suddenly they break through Atmo and it just goes silent and you don't hear the ship anymore and the rumbling stops and even like the temperature, this is like a kind of a cinemaphile nerdy thing, but the temperature of the film of the footage, like it goes from like a warm temperature to like a cool temperature whenever they're in space. And I just thought that was like a really cool little moment whenever they finally break through and they go in back in outer space and everything kind of like shifts into like this, like, I don't know, space feeling, if you will, versus whenever they're down on planet side and everything's kind of a little warmer and it's a little grittier, if you will. But that's probably one of mine, I'd say. How about you?
Yeah, I know. All of it. It was good. I did like that the end where he had that little moment with River, and he's like kind of teaching her how to fly or whatever.
Yeah,
and he's like, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he's like, I could tell you this, but you already know what I'm going to say. And she says, I do, but it's nice to hear you actually say it.
Yeah.
So then he starts to, and they kind of have a little moment, and I don't know. It's
I like
kind of tender moment that I liked.
I would agree. Which I was reading on her, Summer Gal was talking about how that was something that she wanted from the character. If the series would have continued, she wanted to see the character learn to pilot the ship and fly the ship at some point. So Joss Whedon worked that into the end of the movie for her as something that she wanted to see from her character. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I do that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that we didn't see more from her. She kind of like, she did this and then she did that Terminator series.
That was good. I liked Sarah Connor Chronicles was good.
Yeah,
I think
I enjoyed that.
Like 2 or 3 seasons, but it was
it's really short. Good. There's another one. But outside that, like she just kind of like disappeared, and I'm kind of surprised. Like I thought we'd see more from her.
Yeah.
I really did. Especially after the Terminator series, I was like, oh yeah, okay. Like I could see her doing more action type movies, but I don't know. Maybe she just didn't want to, or she wanted to go down pursue other things. I suppose.
I don't know if she. I know she has like a family and stuff, and I know some of these actors, like they kind of settle down and they're like, they decide, they want to focus on their family or something. Like Rick Moranis, he quit acting because his wife died, and he wanted to be present for his kids, and
That's true.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. You never know. People have their different reasons, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Nothing against it. I just was like I said, I just kind of thought we'd see more from her, but
yeah,
it just didn't happen.
We did see her in an episode of The Big Bang Theory, though, didn't we? I think
Playing herself. Yeah.
I think we did. Yeah.
Which I think she's done that a couple times where she like played herself in kind of like a tongue-in-cheek way. I know she's guested on because I think everybody has guested on Castle with Nathan Fillion at some point.
Oh,
so I'm
okay.
pretty sure she did there. And then I want to say, what's the one that Alan Tudyk is in now?
A Resident Alien.
Yeah, I want to say everybody has done a guest on that
it.
as well. Yeah,
okay.
I haven't seen it either, but it looks. It's one of those things that's like I'm the only one in the house that's going to enjoy it, so I gotta find time to watch it.
yeah. Same. Yeah, maybe something I have to watch on my lunch breaks or something like that.
Yeah,
but yeah. So one thing that kind of it was weird to me. It didn't have anything to do with the movie. It was the poster. So the movie poster.
Oh yeah.
Summer Glau, however you say her last name, Rivers on the front cover, and she's kind of doing this almost split thing, and she's got the weapons.
That poster. Okay.
If you really look at it, you can tell that it's Summer, but like just kind of glancing at it, you're like, this doesn't look like the same person. Like the hairstyle's a little bit different. Like has a little bit more volume, I guess. And it's
and
it's
stylized
it took
for
me,
sure.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like River to me. And that just kind of bugged me a little bit. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's just a
and that's I think that's the DVD cover, because if you're on IMDb, they have the theatrical movie poster as like the thumbnail for it, and that's her, but she's like standing with like a weapon in her hands, and then Mal's face is like behind her, like I don't know, like one of the glamour shot things or whatever, and you got Serenity in the foreground there. That's the one I remember from the theaters. The one that you're talking about with her in the weapon pose with everybody behind him, and it's like a desert scene. That's the DVD one. And then there was another movie. There's the one that they have when you go online to stream it. I don't like that one. Whenever I pull it up on Fandango, because that's where I own it, they do it's the one where it's like blue on top and red on the bottom, and you got like Summer Glau, and then you've got
there's like that explosion in the middle.
But then it just does the word Serenity in just like a standard like aerial typeface. There's no stylization to it, and I'm like, this is the most. I don't know what
right now.
Yeah, that one bugs me.
Yeah,
because there's another version of it where they do like a stylized like Serenity typeset or whatever.
It looks like the font from the ship, like that's the one you're talking about. Anyway, it has a stylized font.
But yeah, they have several. Yeah, I like the one that they have on IMDb as like the main one, or the stylized one that's kind of like red and blue split there. That one looks really cool too.
Yeah,
I know this is very interesting for an audio podcast, but we didn't talk about at all.
What's
Mr.
that?
Universe, the big helper in this whole thing. Mr. Universe.
Yeah. He kind of went out too soon too. I did.
Yeah,
I liked him. He was a little bit weird.
He always plays a weird character.
Wife. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
What was he in? He was Wednesday's boyfriend in the Addams Family Values movie, right?
Addams Family Values, yeah. And then he was, as much as I don't like this movie, he was an elf. Who was he an elf? Was it Elf? No, he wasn't an elf. No, I'm sorry. Sorry. No, he plays an elf in the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Different elf.
Yeah. Which, side note, there was this series that, gosh darn it, now I can't remember what the name of it was. My wife and I watched. It's got Keira Knightley in it. It's on Netflix, and she's like a spy. Anyway, it's pretty action packed. But there's there's a scene where there are a bunch of these like spies are tied up, and like they're getting ready to get killed. Like they know they're going to get killed, and they're just waiting in this room for the people to show up to kill them. But they're just like talking, and they're like, because it's like the movie or the miniseries takes place around Christmas, and they're asking each other like, "What's your favorite Christmas movie?" You know, or whatever. And one of the spies is like, "The Santa Claus," and she's another one's like, "Oh, I love the Santa Claus," and I don't know. Anybody that hasn't watched it, it's not very funny. But like, if you ever see the scene, like it's just these like really hardened like spies, like hitman spies, you know, that are like the whole series are like shooting and killing people or whatever, and then they're tied up and they're talking about how much they love the movie The Santa Claus, and it's
they ain't got nothing else to do.
It's great. It's great. So, but anyway,
yeah. Well, I think I have exhausted most of my notes.
Yep.
How about
I have.
you?
I'm glad we went down this journey, this Firefly journey.
Good, yeah.
Gosh, it's great. It's great. And now this is all I will be thinking about for weeks, and how, you know, things could have turned out different or whatever. But
what could have been? Well, there's like plenty out there on comic books and novels if you're interested.
Yeah. I'll have to check them out because, you know, I want to be on Serenity. And one thing, real. I know we keep starting to wrap it up, and then I think I'm going to
no, go for it.
This is bringing me back to the series, and I don't think I brought it up last week. It's back on Kaylee, and one of the reasons that I love her so much, when Mal offers her the job as the engineer, right? Yeah. She says, like, "Oh, I'd love to do that, but I need to go ask my parents first."
Yeah.
And I love that about her. I love it. Like there's such an innocence to her that is just it's spectacular. I love that character.
I could totally see an episode, like if they kept it going, where they go and they stay with her parents for like an episode for like a day or whatever. And it's like that scene from Twister with the Aunt Kate or whatever that's just like making all the food and everybody's just like hanging out and like talking and just like friend and family and fellowship all together. Absolutely. Just like a good old time.
Yep. Yeah, that'd been fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my those are my thoughts on Firefly / Serenity. It's
lots of fun.
It's good. It's really good. It's a good universe.
Yeah.
We did have
some comments. Yeah.
Comments. Yeah. I've got one here from our friend Will Ford. He was commenting on our 90s music episode that we did. I don't remember how long ago. A while back. But he said, I'm a little behind on the podcast, guys, but I have a list of 90s songs that I still come back to every so often. I could have easily had some of the songs from your list on mine as well, but for the sake of originality, I challenged myself to not repeat anything. Also, I listed... Yes. He said, also, I listed 6 instead of 5, so deal with it. And that's absolutely fine. So his top 6 90s songs are as follows. Hey Jealousy for the Gin Blossoms. Great song.
Excellent.
The Kids Aren't All Right by The Offspring. Mr. Jones by Counting Crows. Great song. When I Come Around, Green Day.
Oh, yeah.
Say It Ain't So by Weezer. And
right there with you, Will.
Common Friendship here. Black Balloon by the Goo Goo Dolls. He said, as for 90s albums, I played the heck out of Garth Brooks' The Hits on cassette back in the day, which I had completely forgotten about Garth Brooks when we were going through all this. And he said, the Goo Goo Dolls' Dizzy Up the Girl would still be getting playtime if my disc hadn't been trashed from too much use. Like Ryan said, it's just hit after hit on this album. Just skip the Robbie Takic sung songs. So Robbie's it's a duo. John, I can't remember what his last name, and then Robbie. Robbie's got a very unique voice. It's
Okay.
more like this when he sings. So you'll hear like there's some of their songs on each album. It'll be Robbie singing. I like it because it's unique. It's not very musical, but it fits. It fits the music. But anyway, thanks, Will. We appreciate that. We loved. Gosh, I loved going through and like reading your picks. That's just
I'm right there with you, man. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Like those are excellent picks for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm right there with you. Those I think half of those were on my short list before I finalized my list for sure.
Mm-hmm. I remember, and I think I replied to him on this. I remember Mr. Jones. Like, I didn't discover that song until I was working at the radio station, and I played it one day on my shift, on my DJ shift, and I fell in love with it, and I just started making it a staple every time I'd be on the air. I'd make sure, at least once a day, I'd play Mr. Jones at some point throughout the day, and I don't know, I did it for a long time.
Yeah, I remember my my stepdad had that album on CD and the Sundays on CD. I remember like the little shells from that cover.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was unique. And Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy.
Mm-hmm.
And listening to those on the computer, because that was the only thing that had a CD-ROM. And digging those. But yeah, like that's just like that just brings back a flood of memories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I remember that one I was listening to on the radio. I remember being on the radio when it came out. Mr. Jones, that was really popular.
I'm sure I heard it on the radio back when it came out. I just some of those things, like a lot of those, there's a lot of music that I didn't really like, I didn't discover, I guess, until I started working in radio.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, like, I mean, it's so easy to just kind of like get locked into some music and be completely satisfied with it. And then whenever you start kind of like looking outside of that and you just start discovering all these like rich veins that go for hours and hours and hours of play. And you can just keep splintering off into all these little offshoots. And there is just so much great music to discover. Absolutely. These episodes where we do 5 of our favorite of something are some of the hardest episodes to do.
Oh, yeah.
But they're the funnest, for sure.
Yeah, they are. I always enjoy doing them. It's such an objective thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That it's a lot of fun just to see what other people's their objective opinions are, on it. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I have a icebreaker question for you for next week. And it plays into this quite nicely. I did not plan this. It just happened to work out. That is, what's a guilty pleasure song of yours? Maybe you still listen to it, or maybe it was just a phase, but bring forth probably your most guilty of pleasure songs, and we will discuss it next week. And I'm going to have you go ahead and send me yours, and I will send you mine.
Okay.
Like, we'll say by like Monday.
Okay.
And that way we can both listen to each other's beforehand, and then we'll discuss in the beginning of the next episode for a few minutes these guilty pleasure songs.
Unfortunately, I can't do Girls Just Want to Have Fun because now the listeners know I like that. So, yeah, exactly. No. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure there's something else. I'll have to think about it. But yeah.
All right. Yeah, that'll be
Sounds
fun.
Good. I like it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on another journey through the verse on This Podcast Takes Tokens. Remember that sharing is caring, and sharing This Podcast Takes Tokens with just one person this week will guarantee that it gets shown to at least one new person. Until next week, be kind and rewind.
This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production.